Welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide. Bienvenidos. I am your hostess, Starla Skelton, and today I have the privilege of talking again with two guests that were previously on this show in Season 2, Episode 9. Melanie and Enzo joined us in an episode entitled Travel Light Adventures. They are your tour guides. And that was so much fun for me to hear about their free-spirited adventures that their tour company provides, that I had to have them back to hear about their adventures in Asia this year. So Melanie and Enzo, welcome back. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're so excited to be back. It's been about a year, I think, since we last spoke, and I can't wait to tell you everything we've been up to, including our recent Asia travel. So thanks for having us.
Good. And yeah, I just checked and it was last May. So I love if we can make this an annual thing. Hey, I would just to keep up with your adventures, you guys are all over the place. So let's just start it off with since Season 2, when we talked, what give us a little overview. What have you guys been up to?
You will actually not believe everything that we have done in a year. Like when I started making the list, I was like, oh, really? All of
so
this
much
in 1 year? It's like exhausting just looking at this list. But yeah. Okay, since we last spoke a year ago, I walked the Camino de Santiago, which took me 45 days. It's over 500 miles of walking across Spain. It's a pilgrimage.
So awesome.
Yeah. And then after that, Enzo came and met me in Italy. And we did a group trip. We did the Alta Via 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I somehow convinced him to do another multi-day trek. It was actually, I would say, the hardest one we've ever done.
Yeah.
Really? About how many days was it?
It was 9 days.
Okay.
Yeah. And the length wasn't the issue. It was just the terrain was very difficult. Very, very difficult. But because that was just like the second out of 7.
Yeah, a lot of different
So
things.
the trip, what else?
One, and then I hosted a women's retreat for Travel Light in Sedona, and we spent all of November in Patagonia, in Chilean Patagonia. So we were there for a whole month together on 2 Travel Light trips, and then most recently we went to Asia and spent 9 weeks traveling around Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Nepal. And then we stopped by Colombia for a friend's wedding on the way home. We also had
We just stopped by.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's probably ever flown from Kathmandu to Cartagena, but that's what we did, from the Himalayas to the Caribbean. So that was our adventure, and that we just got back from that May 5th, so just a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so you're just now getting back, getting used to, I say your daily life, but I feel like a lot of your daily lives are spent traveling. So, I don't know if you would consider traveling your daily life or if being in St. Louis is your daily life. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's 50-50. I feel like with all the group trips, we're gone about 6 months, 4 to 6 months out of the year. It's somewhat sporadic when we leave and when we stay here. So we've actually been talking pretty intentionally about having a daily life of 6 months being abroad, 6 months being here. So it feels like, okay, this is our daily life, not like, our day-to-day is like, oh, we're going on a trip here and then coming back and then gone and then coming back. But if we have like a set time that we do leave, that will feel a little more, it sounds normal. I don't know that it's not necessarily normal, but it's what we want our normal to look like.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great answer. And let me ask you this. Do you still get excited, kind of butterflies in your stomach that you're going on a trip? Or is it more just, okay, another trip? How do you feel?
1,000%, yes, excited.
Yeah.
There is no part of me that's like, another trip. No.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it if we weren't excited about it, and I think that's what makes our trips so special, because we are excited about it, and they're just full of great adventures and great itineraries and great locations. So yeah, we're still very, very much excited about our trips.
Before we get into all the juicy details of your adventures, I am curious. I saw on social media, on Travel Light Adventure social media, that whenever you were in Asia this year, you guys traveled together and your best friend also joined you. So what was that like to travel with your fiance and your best friend at the same time? Was that hard?
Luckily, the three of us are like three peas in a pod. So it was so much fun.
There was no third wheel, Enzo?
No, sometimes I was the third wheel, but other than that, it was perfect. We have a really good chemistry. We all travel very well together. Melanie and I, we've been traveling since we've met, so we know how to travel together. And if there are times that we need our own separate space, it's actually fantastic that Lily is coming along, because if we want to get away, we can take Lily with us and be like, all right, I'm going to hang out with Lily, or you hang out with Lily, or maybe sometime Lily needs a break from us.
Lily for a walk.
Yeah, that's what we say. Or Lily will take us on a walk. And so it really, traveling for that long, just the two of us, might have been more difficult because we felt like we needed to stay together or we were alone. In this situation, we didn't have to feel like we were leaving the other person behind because there was somebody else.
That's good.
I think it worked out really, really well. So it was so funny, like leading up to the trip, because I do all the planning. Lily are both not planners, but they're both so much fun to hang out with. Yeah, I'll plan the whole thing. And then like you guys just be the vibe. And they're also both so good at navigation, which I'm fine at it, but I really don't like navigating new subway systems. And so every place that we went, we had to learn about the buses and the subways and how everything worked. So before we left, I just kind of told them like, hey, I'll plan the entire trip. It makes us a lot of work, but I love doing it. It was so fun. If you guys just kind of like watch a couple of YouTube videos about how to take the subway in Tokyo, because we're going to need to figure that out. And they're both just so good at like on the ground logistics, getting from place to place. So it was a good partnership. And I think we just like worked so good together as a team. We always stayed together as a team, and, we don't really none of us are really selfish. So I think it just worked out really well that we took care of each other and had a lot of fun together. So it was perfect.
It sounds like a special bond between the three of you. So that's really cool that you guys have that. And I was kind of re-listening to the highlights of the podcast that we did together last year. And two things that I wanted to point out right now. So Enzo was the trip comedian and the mule at this time, just you needed him for the entertainment process as well to help you whenever you're doing, you have to be in the zone for all your planning. So you guys were kind of just the yin and yang, and you just like a perfect little mix with the trips. And then Melanie, we kind of touched on, you were a passionate planner and you like this healthy balance of nature and adventure, but with the comforts of like a nice bed at night. So I have to ask, a year later, are you guys still in that role?
Yeah.
Yes, that is the perfect description of Travel Light. It is nature and adventure, but also comfort. And I'm the hardcore planner and he's the mule. It really, like every trip, he ends up carrying someone's backpack. When we were on the Alta Via 1.
Well, I mean, I'm not just the mule.
You're funny too. Yeah.
Mule, jackass, either or. I mean, it's kind of
super helpful in every situation.
Yeah.
On the Alta Via 1, somebody rolled their ankle and Enzo did an amazing job. Like that person could not walk on the trail that day. So Enzo communicated with the lodge that we were staying at, and he figured out how to navigate the local bus system that is all in Italian to get this client of ours from where we were staying to where everyone else was staying via public transportation and taxis, so that they could meet us and she could walk the next day. She just couldn't, she just needed 1 day's break. So take like 2 buses and a van and a ski lift, and then
all in Italian. And I was like,
he doesn't speak Italian.
Oh, my Italian's a little rusty.
It's not speak Italian.
It's very rusty. But yeah,
you haven't practiced it in a while. That kind of rusty.
Ever. But yeah, and so we have like she's the big picture, and I just make sure that everyone gets there and has a good time doing it, and that's kind of the dynamic that we have.
Love it. Okay, so I have talked to a lot of people over the years, and they've said to me things like, I would love to travel through Asia, but I feel so overwhelmed because there's so many places to go, and they'll name half of them off, and they're like, I don't know where to start. I feel like talking to you today, maybe you can give us some must-sees, or hey, if you only have 2 weeks, maybe you could avoid this, or maybe you could skip that one. But either way, I'm looking forward to hearing just a little bit of an overview of your 9 weeks in Asia. So start us wherever you want to start us.
Okay, so we spent 2 weeks in Japan, 1 week in Korea, 3 weeks in Vietnam, and 3 weeks in Nepal. And then we had our time in Colombia, so that's included in that 9 weeks. So I think it's really valuable to hear what people's top experiences are that they had in those countries. Because if you are overwhelmed, then you can maybe something that you hear catches your attention, and it's like, oh, I want to do that thing she mentioned in Japan. So I'm going to just focus on Japan and not be overwhelmed, but just, pick like one country to go to or focus on these experiences. So
yeah. And full disclosure, I mean, our travels was to get the most out of each country, right? Being like the key points, try to see the key points in each country. Everyone's vacation or everyone's travel is going to be completely different depending on what your personal preference is. And each place that we went has such a different taste of experience with it. So we did get to experience like some very chaotic places, very peaceful places. So it really comes down to what type of trip you want. And with our entire trip, I think we got a little taste of everything.
Started with the best toilets in the world and ended with the worst toilets in the world.
You're talking about Japan, right? Best toilets in the world?
With Japanese toilets to like an outhouse next to the yak outside in Nepal in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't even a toilet, it was just a hole off a mountain. So we got to experience that. And it started with Japan. And Japan is otherworldly. And we got to experience Tokyo as best as we could with the jet lag that we were experiencing. And the kind of the key points that we did in Tokyo were the food markets.
Yeah, I would say the number one thing in Japan is food, really. Pretty much all of our travel experiences were food related.
It was incredible.
And I think a lot of people love to travel for food. So if you're a foodie and you're going to Asia, I mean, my God, good luck. You really want to go because almost every place has amazing food. Japan, Korea, and Vietnam were all incredible. But the markets in Japan are really, really special. Like you could just walk around and get a taste of a bunch of little things. You could try the freshest sushi, and you can get Wagyu beef, which was one of our favorite things that we ate. And you just get little tastings of all these different incredible foods. So we really loved the markets in Japan.
And it was
Are these night markets or like are they all day?
All day.
Okay.
They're literally just either little shops or tents that are locally owned, and they're right next to each other. And it's just probably like 3-4 blocks. Well, the Nishiki market was like 12 blocks,
really long.
And you just pick and choose what you want, and it's great because it's like just like one small serving per each place, so you can just try a bunch of different foods, and the food is just delicious. I mean, you could spend, if you have the stomach for it, you can spend all day there just like with a wad of cash and just eat as much as your heart desires, and it is going to be an incredible experience.
That's awesome. That sounds wonderful. So foodies definitely hone in on Asia, especially Japan.
Yeah. So the markets that we specifically went to that we really liked are the Tsukiji market in Tokyo and the Nishiki market in Kyoto.
Those are the two main ones that we went. Well, the only ones that we went to. And also, like, if we're talking food in Japan, do not sleep on 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, dude, 7-Eleven has some of the best food I had. Like, it is like. Their egg salad sandwich is to die for. Their ramen is great. You can get a smoothie there, like fresh fruit. Like it is it is like it's a different experience. Those 7-Elevens. It's very different than what we're used to.
And is it pretty affordable, the food?
Very, very affordable. And especially with us, when we went, the US dollar compared to the Japanese yen was very strong. It's the strongest it's been in like 35 years. So for us, it was really affordable. And
We spent $8 to $10 per meal in Japan, which surprised me. I thought it would be higher.
yeah, we were thinking
Wow.
20.
If it was something really fancy, it would have been more expensive. But in general,
Right.
that was our average meal cost. Like if we went out for a bowl of ramen, it was usually $8, and it's a nice, delicious bowl of ramen.
Yeah,
So
it's like the
That's
best.
amazing.
So
That's amazing. You can't even get a value meal at McDonald's for $8
I know.
anymore.
Yeah.
At least in Seattle, you can't. I mean, Taco Bell is a $22
True.
tab here. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. I love hearing that it's still a reasonably priced food in Japan. Good. Good.
Yeah. I
So-
expected it to be a lot more expensive.
And aside from food, I mean, Japan's just full of crazy visuals. I mean, you can go to pet cafes from dogs to cats to pigs. You can go,
Owls,
you can see
hedgehogs.
Yeah, there's a bunch
You
of
can go
different
to any
cafes.
kind of animals that you like. You can go to a cafe and hang out with them.
Anime cafes. There's we didn't go to like the crazy party scene of Japan, which I wish we
Mhm.
kind of would have. We just didn't have the time. But we did have one crazy experience in Japan in Kyoto, which was the Macho Bar. You ever heard of that?
No. What is it?
No, it's crazy. It's like it's a bar that you have to make a reservation for, and
Mhm.
it's just a bunch of super jacked Japanese dudes. It's the equivalent of a Hooters for Japanese men. And
Okay.
it's great because it's like it's not just like a walking around like super jacked dude, but it's like, hey, on the menu you can order, I want you to rip your shirt off, and you can pay. Oh, the guy will rip his shirt off, and like
Well, it's $10.
For-
It's
and, like-
really reasonable.
yeah, and like so it's like a whole experience, and every like 5 minutes they're like yelling and doing just super fun stuff. It's like a very, very fun bar. You can only be there for an hour and a half, and then the next round of people go in. But it was a very, very cool experience.
That's awesome. It almost sounds like a show that they're putting on for you.
Yeah, I highly recommend going there. That was one of my
Okay.
top experiences from Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so overall, would you have wanted to spend more time in Japan?
Yeah.
There's so much to see there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's really so much to see there. Like our friend just got done with, I think he spent a month and a half there and got to see a lot more of Japan than we did. I don't know if we have mentioned this, but we went to 3 cities: Tokyo, Hakone, and Kyoto. So we really focused our time in those areas, and we wanted to spend a few days in each one rather than, you can take a bullet train every single day to a different place in Japan. We just didn't really want to travel that way.
Right.
Yeah, we could have very easily spent a lot more time there.
Yeah, we could have spent 2 weeks in Tokyo, or a week in Tokyo, a week in Hakone, and a week in Kyoto, and still not running out of things to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Hakone was a little bit slower pace. I think there we kind of maxed out what we were going to do, because Hakone is just onsens. It's like the onsen's capital of Japan. And what an onsen is, it's just a natural hot spring, a hot spring that gets up to like 150 degrees.
Wow.
And they are just beautiful outdoor, indoor onsens that are what Hakone is known for. And that was a really, really special experience.
Hakone is just this beautiful little mountain town. It has views of Mount Fuji on a clear day. So you get to see Mount Fuji, and there's all kinds of different like little activities and museums around town. And then another thing that we really loved there is there was this place, this really cute cafe near the train station that had a foot bath. So you would like go to the cafe and you sit and you put your feet in the hot water. You take your shoes off and you put your feet in the hot water, and then they have pizza and coffee and stuff. So you could just like literally eat pizza with your feet soaking
In hot
water on a chilly day. And like, what else could you really want?
Why do we not have those here? Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
I don't know. It was so great.
That
Dude.
sounds magical.
It is magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as great as it sounds. So
Wow. And that was like the most chill of the cities you went to?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Tokyo, Hakone, and then Kyoto. And then Kyoto was kind of a culture shock. It was full of tourists in at some parts, and then other parts it was just like very, very peaceful. But it was also a lot of fun and very beautiful in Kyoto.
So from there, did you guys fly to your next destination?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we flew from Osaka, Japan to Seoul, Korea.
To Seoul. And then how was the food there?
That was also good. It's so crazy.
I love Korean food.
Every place is so good. Like, I think the best quality of food out of all the places, like top level, top shelf food, is Japan. Korea's flavor is ridiculous. And like the fusion in Vietnamese food is just unreal. And it's just every place has so many good value attributes to their food that it's hard to pick which one was the best. But Korean barbecue did blow our mind. Like that, and kimchi pancakes was
Oh
really
my God.
good. Yeah, it was delicious.
Oh, what were your highlights from South Korea?
I feel like all we're talking about is food.
Yeah, so far all we're talking about is Vietnam. We'll talk about some other things. Like when we get to Vietnam, we were only in South Korea for a week, so our time was a little bit limited. But I would say our highlights were, we'll try to go through this one a little bit quicker and stay more on point. But medical tourism. So if you're going to South Korea, look into what kind of
Treatment.
if you want any skincare treatments, if you're looking if you're looking for any kind of Botox or like any kind of skin surgeries or lasers, they're really amazing with that kind of thing. It's like really high quality for a really low price. So make sure you look
Nice.
we didn't have time to get into any of that, but Enzo did get cortisone injections into his knees, and we were really, really impressed by the price and the quality of the service that we received. We walked into a clinic. He was treated the same day.
Wow.
He got
X-rays, ultrasounds, injections, and shock therapy, like electroshock therapy on my knees, all within an hour of me walking into the door. And it was $125.
What?
It was insane. I felt like
my!
athlete.
You couldn't have got a consultation for $125 here.
And let alone a walk-in. I mean, we were so taken back. We had to go and buy them like a thank you gift and give it to them, and they were very grateful for that. But yeah, it was
really impressive. So they have a really, really impressive medical system. So if you're thinking about going to South Korea, just do some
That's amazing.
Yeah, any problems you may have, like get some.
People get LASIK eye surgery there, dental work. I mean, literally anything that would cost you thousands of dollars in the U.S. If you're going to just do a little research, and going to Korea might save you a ton of money.
And it's so funny
that's a highlight.
When we got there into the clinic, she's like, I don't know if you guys don't have insurance, I don't know if you guys want to do this because it's going to cost a lot of money. It's like, well, what's a lot of money? She's like $100 and $200. And I'm like, that's nothing. Like compared to what it would cost me. And the crazy thing is, like, they did an X-ray and an ultrasound, and they didn't find anything in the X-ray. So they're like, we didn't find anything on the X-ray, so we're not going to charge you for it. So we're going to just do the ultrasound. And it was just like,
wow.
They were all just so, and they didn't speak English. Like, we were doing this all through Google Translate, and they were able to portray their kindness just through communicating through a phone. It was incredible.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So that was a big highlight for us.
We went to Busan.
Seoul and Busan, the only two cities we went to in Korea.
Which is a beautiful beach town. It was a little chilly, so we didn't get to enjoy all of the beach, but walking on the beach was amazing. We got to see an amazing light show that they have.
I guess I don't think of South Korea as being a place where you would go and to a beach town. What was the culture of the beach?
If whoever's listening, look up Busan and look up Gwangali Beach. South Korea is such a innovative and high tech, really incredible infrastructure country. So it's like this beautiful beach with huge skyscrapers, like not huge, but skyscrapers, like a big city around it.
Yeah.
But it's really, really well maintained. There's tons of cute little coffee shops, and there's like this huge bridge that just connects the two parts of Busan. So it's really cool. I love Korea. I wish we could have spent more time there. I taught English there a long, long time ago, and so it was kind of like a reunion for me to go back and for the first time in over 10 years and just
That's great.
time there. But yeah, you don't really think of a beach town, but Busan is definitely worth a visit. It has beautiful temples, and then one more highlight I want to mention from Korea is visiting the DMZ. That's the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. So that was a day tour that we did from Seoul. And that's something that I would say is like a must do. If you're going to Korea and you're going to Seoul, you got to do a DMZ tour, because you spend the whole day with a tour guide who teaches you all about the history of the two Koreas and how they got split during the Korean War. And then you kind of get to see like what the aftermath is of that, with like how different North Korea and South Korea are. You go up to the border, you get to see North Korea, just learn about all the tension and the crazy things that happen at that border. Like North Korea was literally sending balloons full of poop to South Korea. And these are the things that just like that happen there that are just kind of part of normal life. Sadly, it was a really neat experience. We got to go really deep into a tunnel that the North Koreans dug, trying to get to South Korea to attack. And they've taken that tunnel and turned it like into a museum. So you get to go down into the tunnel and see. And it was a really, really cool experience.
That's amazing. Did you feel safe in that scenario?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we felt really safe. I mean, there's not like active warfare happening at that border.
We wouldn't be able to go if it was. So it was eerie because you could see it, it was right there, and you could see North Korean soldiers just looking back at South Korea. And so like you can see them with a telescope. So it was as close as dangers as you can get without actually being in danger.
Okay. And then before you guys move on from Korea, how were the toilets there?
They were good.
The toilets are not Japanese toilets usually. Yeah. Like they do have some fancy toilets, but yeah, we left behind those fancy toilets in Japan.
And if you don't know what a Japanese toilet is, Google it and see if you can finance one in your home, because there's water, there's music, there's warm seats, there's air. There's everything, and it's like, I mean, I looked into one. It's way out of my price range, but maybe not in the future, because those are well worth every penny.
Yeah, I actually have a girlfriend in Seattle, and her family's from Japan, and she has one in her home. And I honestly, that's when I get invited to her house, I get so excited. Like I drink all the water I can so I can have all the bathroom experiences that I can. Because it's like an experience, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Love that. Okay, what else we got?
Okay, so then we flew to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And Vietnam,
you guys flew to Vietnam.
We'll cover that in the next part. I think we'll cover that coming up.
Suspense.
Yeah. The suspense. So in Vietnam, we did a lot more tours than we usually do. And that's because I hired a tour company to plan the whole thing, because there were so many different things we wanted to do. And we stuck to only northern Vietnam. So Vietnam's a really, really long country. You could spend months and months traveling there. There's so many amazing things to see. There's all these beaches in the south. We're in the north. It was actually a little bit chilly, surprisingly. You wouldn't think that it gets cold in Vietnam, but it's actually very far north where we were. So you want to go over some of the highlights of Vietnam?
Sure. Yeah. I started in Ninh, and it was beautiful. It kind of had like beach town vibes. It was kind of short, and we got to see these beautiful hills of Vietnam that you always, like, you can just Google the Vietnam.
They like the limestone mountains that kind of come out of the water that you think of when you
Yeah. Got to have amazing food. We rented motorbikes and just rode around town with them. We did some tours, saw some temples. It was really cool. It was Ninh Bình was kind of like a slower town. There wasn't too much to do. There was lots to see, just not much to do. But then we got to Hanoi, and Hanoi was it's a crazy, crazy town. It's like, well, not town, it's a city. It's a huge city where there's amazing street food, there's food tours, there's the best coffee you can find. Like they have egg coffee.
Egg coffee, salt coffee. There's
Oh.
they have this coffee culture that you can go to. There's the most incredible little coffee shops. That was one of the highlights of all of Vietnam, was just drinking their coffee. Like the salt cream coffee is like a cold brew coffee with like a inch thick cream on top, like a salted cream.
Yeah, with like of sea salt in it. It was delicious.
So good.
So you can get that in Hanoi and get the best food, and the nightlife is unbelievable. You could do anything you want in Hanoi. It's like you can chill, you can go out until stay up until 6 a.m. Like it's crazy.
Hanoi is also like, if you see videos in Vietnam of people crossing the streets, like the traffic is so chaotic that you kind of just you just walk across the street and then the traffic just kind of like forms around you.
Yeah.
It takes a little while to get used to, but
well, it took you a little while to get used to. You had to hold someone's hand to cross the street, because it is scary, but like you just have to go and you can look and raise your hand, like that's gonna do anything. But you just raise your hand and tell people that you're there, and they'll just go around you. And there's like hundreds of cars just going past you, and there's no accidents there because it might seem lawless when you see people driving there, but it's kind of like a controlled chaos because nobody goes more than 20 miles an hour. Like they go 15, 20 miles an hour. So if you do hit somebody, it's kind of like, oh, all right, sorry, you got to keep going. And so there's no really major accidents, and everybody just kind of is slow. So, and a lot of the cars are manual, and the motorbikes are obviously manual unless they're not like strong enough, so they're not going fast anyway. So the streets look very chaotic, but are actually very well controlled.
Question: do you guys typically walk or take public transit, or what's your main way to get around whenever you're traveling once you're there?
We do all kinds of stuff. We Uber. We use the Uber app a lot.
We use a train
because Uber is way more affordable in every other country, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, subways.
We'll rent motorcycles. We'll walk, rent bicycles. Yeah, we can. Whatever the best option is, we'll do. We'll usually just YouTube or Google how to do it, and then just go for it.
Nice.
And Hanoi, you don't want to drive a motorcycle. You don't want to drive over there because it is a controlled chaos, and if you're not used to it, you will be the chaos. Like
the only place that we rented a scooter in Vietnam was in Ninh Binh and then in Sapa too. So you don't want to rent a scooter in the major cities, but in the small towns, it is really fun, and it's $3 a day, $5 a day to rent a scooter.
$5 a day with gas. So Vietnam is the cheapest country we've been to. It's very inexpensive. Each meal will cost you anywhere from $1 to $4, and it's crazy good. You have some ramen. You have what are those things?
Spring rolls. Constantly.
Yeah.
We went on one of the highlights from Vietnam was a food tour that we did with a local
in Hanoi.
So we hired a local guide, and he just took us around for like 6 hours. It started at like 3 in the afternoon, and it was 7 hours because we were with him until 10 p.m. And then finally we were like, we have to go home now because
we can't eat anymore.
Eating nonstop, and you order so much food. And we got to try all these incredible foods. We're actually working on a YouTube video right now about all of our favorite street food in Vietnam.
Nice.
So
nice.
That'll be good. But bún cha was one of the best things that we tried. It was like a noodle soup that had like pork balls in it, but the flavor is just out of this world. And there's so many veggies, and you're like squeezing limes into everything. They give you like a whole bowl of limes to squeeze. And
Hanoi has a lot of Michelin
rated.
Michelin. It's not Michelin star. It's Michelin rated. The difference is their quality of the restaurant or the restrictions,
the
standard,
right?
that's the word I was looking for. The standards do not meet the Michelin requirements, but the flavor and the experience do. So it's like a Michelin rated. So it's a completely different tier. It's nowhere near like a Michelin star
It's
restaurant.
not fancy. You're sitting on a plastic stool,
Like
foot off
knees
the
to
ground.
chest, and just like enjoying this amazing bowl of a soup or ramen or pho or anything. And so we had a lot of those experiences, and they were really, really good.
Do they have spicy food in Vietnam? Do they spice it up?
I would say more flavorful than spicy.
Okay.
Like it would be a lot of like lime or basil or ginger or garlic rather than like heat.
Hot pepper. Okay.
Yeah.
Flavors.
The Vietnam, I told her out of all the places we went to, Vietnam was my favorite because of the combination of everything, the food, the pricing of everything. The people are so friendly there. And that's the difference between like Japan and Vietnam. Like Japan, everyone's very respectful. Everyone is to themselves. Everyone will open the door for you. They'll help you in any way they can, but they're not. It's not like a friendly. In Vietnam, it's almost to the point that like, it's like, okay, what's your angle here? And it's really, they don't have an angle. And even if they do have an angle, they just helped you so much, and you can give them $1 and make their entire day. It was just a very, very nice way of living for me personally.
Yeah.
And Hanoi was a big part of it. Sapa was great too.
Yeah. So other highlights would be trekking in Sapa. We did a village trek there. That was 2 days, I think 2 days, 1 night, I think. We had a local guide. She was really sweet and adorable. And we just like walked through the villages with her. And then we stayed in a really rural part of Vietnam overnight. And that was one of my favorite experiences of our entire trip, because it was a family-run place, and they had this daughter, and she was like 5 years old, and she was such a hoot. And we gave her some candy, and then we were just like her best friend for the rest of the night. She just followed us around. She kept coming into our room. She would just open the door to our hotel room and come in and jump on the bed. We took her to a cafe.
We didn't take her to a cafe. She took us to a cafe. This 5-year-old girl just like was walking around town, and everyone knew her. And it was so funny. We'd walk around this small, it was a village. I mean, they couldn't have been more than 100 people?
Yeah, it was really small.
And everyone would talk to her while me, Melanie, and our other friend Holly, we were walking behind her, and you could just tell, like, looking at everyone, like, what's going on? And they would just ask her, it's like, hey, who are you with? It's like, oh, these are my friends. And we would just walk around town with this 5-year-old for like hours. And then she would just like come back home. Like, oh, all right.
Living her best 5-year-old life. Yeah. Wow.
She was a boss.
Where did you find this place that you stayed? Online?
Yeah, so this was part of the tour package that the company arranged for us. So I told them all the different things that we wanted to do in Vietnam, and then they used all their contacts to set up the guide and the homestay and all that kind of stuff.
Ultimately, the whole point of this trip was to have ideas for future group trips. So we found a tour company that we wanted to partner with to do this group trip. And I think from everything that they did for us, we can cater an experience for future group trips to be like, okay, we want to do most of everything that we did, but change some things around. So that was the ultimate goal. And I think we accomplished that goal, especially Vietnam. I think out of all the places we went to, Vietnam would probably be the place we would do a group trip, especially with Hanoi, Sapa, and then the Ha Giang Loop, which we haven't even talked about, that was
probably the number one highlight, right?
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Yeah, which is, you want to explain the Ha Giang Loop?
Yeah, so the Ha Giang Loop is a motorcycle loop through rural Vietnam. And it's like one of the top things that people do when they go to Vietnam. So I've known about it for a long time, and I always kind of thought, like, is it overrated? But I talked to several travelers who really loved it, and so we had to give it a try. And we're not like motorcycle people, so we did the easy rider option. So we were riding on the back of motorcycles with locals.
Okay.
And I mean, it is like a top life experience.
Yeah.
You are just cruising through parts of Vietnam that you would never get to see. You see the daily life of so many different people that live in these small villages. You get to high five little kids. You get to stay in like these really cool towns. And then you have your main guide who's like leading the whole thing. And then everyone has their own driver. So there's like this whole pack of people who are involved in your group.
Wow.
And the views are just insane the entire time.
So we heard.
And even though the worst weather.
We had the worst weather.
The worst.
Really?
Like,
There was times we couldn't see the driver in front of us. And it was just like, yeah.
Oh my
and it was
gosh.
still amazing because the moments that we did get to see were like, oh my God. And it was just during the day that we went because we met another group that did it a couple of days after us. And they're like, no, we didn't see a single cloud. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. During a rough weather window. But it was still like
Still worth it to go, even with bad weather?
Even with bad weather.
It was a
Okay.
thrill. We were literally covered in plastic bags. We had a poncho. We had poncho pants. We had bags tied around our shoes because it was raining the entire time. We got soaking wet. Our hair was wet. Our face mask is wet, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Every time we would get off the bike, we would just like gather together as a group and be like,
Did you
oh
see
my
this?
God, did you see that? Did you see those little kids? Did you see how we almost got hit by that truck? Did you see the cows? Everything. We would just like debrief, like, what? That was insane.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's quite an adventure, right? Like if people are adventure seeking, this would be kind of a tour for them.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not if you are not, and I'm an adventurer, but I'm also like kind of a scaredy cat. So don't shy away from it if you're like not all that comfortable on a motorcycle. I had never been on a motorcycle for 3 days, but it was still one of the greatest things ever. I do think though that like if you are a creature of comfort, this was not comfortable.
No.
The places that we stayed were not that comfortable.
Yeah, you had to like
you're out in the elements constantly. So
Mhm.
if it wasn't for their rice wine, I would not be able to sleep at these places.
it was rugged.
Yeah, it was very, very rugged.
Oh man. Honestly, that sounds amazing. That sounds like my kind of trip, just because I feel like those stick with you longer, and you come out with such a great story, and it's just okay, I love that. Nice. So would you say that would be your highlight of Vietnam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a highlight of Vietnam.
That and then the street food. Like the story that we tell is that Ha Giang Loop because that is incredible.
Yeah.
So Vietnam was a magical place, and then you hopped on a plane and headed to my favorite of all places, Nepal, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Kathmandu.
Oh, and was this your first time there, Enzo?
Yep.
What did you think? What was your initial, like, I guess not initial, because Kathmandu doesn't really sum up Nepal, but what was your initial just outlook of it?
Not good. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I got to Kathmandu and I'm like, whoa, like I was pooping in a Japanese toilet like 2 months ago, and what is this? But it was a culture. It was just a culture shock. And like you said, Kathmandu is not Nepal. And when we got there, it was, it hadn't rained in a long time, so it was very smoggy. Our eyes hurt, our throat hurt.
It's the most polluted city in the world.
Yeah, and it was just a huge, huge culture shock for me. Now, once we got out of Kathmandu, that was incredible. That was amazing. And even in Kathmandu, it was otherworldly, really.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a huge culture shock for me.
How long did you stay in Kathmandu?
We were there 4 or 5 days before we headed to Everest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. So did you take the plane ride on one of the most dangerous runways in the world?
The fifth most dangerous runway in the world. Yes.
We did. So we actually, they used to let you fly from Kathmandu to Lukla Airport, but for some reason right now you have to drive to a place called, the other airport is called Ramechhap. So it's like a 7-hour drive from Kathmandu.
They were causing too much congestion and more pollution in Kathmandu with the airport going there. So they decided to move it. That's what our guide told us.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense until you have to take a 7-hour van to Ramechhap, and man, that was the worst. We'll send you a video. That was the worst car ride I've ever been on.
It used to be a decent road, and then in 2024 there was really bad flooding in Nepal, and it took out a ton of the road and washed away a lot of people's homes. So very tragic. And now they've kind of like made a road, but it's more like you're driving through the riverbed. And I mean, it is bumpy.
The entire time we're like this.
For 7 hours.
For 7 hours.
Like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, where he's like...
It's just like potholes and windiness. And the van that we took on the way there didn't have very good AC. It didn't have AC. It was just like air blowing, and it was just so hot. So we had to open the windows until a truck was coming by, and then it was so dusty that we had to close the windows. So the entire time we're rocking, we're nauseous, and we're like closing and opening the windows just to get to this airport. And on the way back, it was different. We had a nicer van, but it was still very, very rocky. So,
by the way, Nepal is my favorite country also. So I know all of this sounds horrible, but it was my favorite part of our whole time in Asia. And it's just such a special place. And anyone who has been there understands how special it is. And I think you kind of have to be there to really get it. But there's something like so magical about Nepal.
I think it's the people are the friendliest, most helpful people in the world. And they are the way they are with the little that they have makes it that much more honorable. It is very impressive, the attitude that the people in Nepal have with what little they have. It is very, very impressive.
I noticed whenever I was there that it seems to be more of a community-based culture where it's not about me, I look what I can do, look what I can summit this, I can do, but it's more of a community where like we, the Sherpas, the family, and that was really special to me. And I just felt connected to so many Nepalese families that I met. You just feel connected because they're such beautiful people, right? Did you guys meet a lot of guides and Sherpas along the way as well?
Yeah. So this trip actually started, I'll go back a little bit. I'll go back further. We decided to do a group trip. The first time I had the idea to create a group travel company, Travel Light, was after I did the Everest base camp trek the first time because
10 years ago.
2015. I loved it so much that I wanted to take other people to have that experience. And the reason that we decided to go back was because I have a friend who had gone to Nepal recently, and she did the base camp trek, and she highly recommended the guide that she had for her base camp trek. So if somebody gives me a guide recommendation, I am going to jump on that opportunity because I know how important it is to have really wonderful guides on your trips, local guides. Mm-hmm. And so I started chatting with him, and we ended up having him, and he hired 2 of his friends to join us.
It's not like his friends. This is the people that he works with. These are his other guides that he has been working with for.
Yeah, not like his homies, but these are people he's known his entire life who are now guides with him in his guiding business. So
nice.
Those are the people that we got to spend the most time with. I mean, I feel like so connected to all of them, and I love these people with my whole heart.
I
cannot wait to see them again.
Yeah, we wouldn't do
Aw.
another trek to Nepal without this group. It was like they were reading our minds of like the quality of service and care that they were handling us with. There was times that we were all very sick and they were just like at the drop of a hat, were there to help us. It was a very, very well guided experience for us.
Wow, that's awesome. And so let's go back to you're about to get on a flight to Lukla. Do you have the whole group that was going on Travel Light with you at this point?
Yeah, so everybody met us in Kathmandu. We had our whole group together. There were 7 of us on this trip, and we all met in Kathmandu. We did that van ride together, and then we get to the small airport, and we all fly to Lukla. We got really lucky because sometimes the weather can delay the flights, but we got really lucky. We got to fly out on that day.
Delay the flight by days.
Yeah.
Days.
Yeah, it's
It
not
can
like
be
a couple
delayed by
hours.
days,
It could be
yeah.
a couple of days. And when we have a group trip where everyone has a return flight, like if we don't go when we're supposed to, that could really ruin the entire trip.
Yeah.
And
There's ways around it. I mean, we could take a helicopter. Like, there's different things that we would have done if we would have missed the flight, but we got really lucky with the weather.
we were on the way there. We were the second to last flight that day before it stopped due to rain. Like as soon as we started
Wow.
the trek, it started hailing on us. They stopped the trips, but we got very lucky.
And I love how that when you fly into Lukla, and tell me if it's the same because it's been years, that you just get off the plane and you just start walking.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you get off the plane and then you're on the Everest trek. It's like you're
Right.
yeah, you grab your backpack and you're walking. You're already starting on your trek.
And so you're just now getting to really know the people that are on this trip with you. So what's that like? What's the process like? I mean, do you feel like it's days before you have these moments with each other where you finally get to know each other? Or like, how does the flow of your trip go?
Yeah, I think that everybody, just like anything when you're meeting new people, it starts off with like just kind of like surface level, like getting to know each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then like as the days go on, every single day everybody's closer, everybody has these inside jokes, everybody's going through the same stuff, we're all getting through it together, we're seeing amazing things together. And so the dynamic just builds and builds and builds until everybody is just like a unit.
And I think that unity comes when the trek starts getting difficult. Once people start suffering together, they're like a little more real with each other. And that's really when you start making some good connection.
Oh, that's so great. So what do you each one of you have like a highlight from Nepal at the Everest Base Trek?
Yeah. Do you want to tell yours?
What would my highlight be? Okay, so something about me is that I am obsessed with the Himalayas. So literally the entire trek, every single day, I am just like beaming with joy until we get to like really high elevation, because then it's just hard for everybody and you're not sleeping all that great. But if I had to choose a highlight, I would say like towards the end of the trek, we were talking with, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying with the Nepali people and their sense of community and how they all kind of take care of each other. Towards the end of the trek, we were talking with our main local guide, Pasang, and we were all sitting at dinner and he was like, I've been guiding for 12 years and I have never seen a group of Westerners take such good care of each other. This is after like 10, 11 days on the trail together. We had been through a lot together. And he was just kind of like getting a little bit emotional. He's like, I thought that Western people were like really selfish and only cared about themselves. And he's like, I've seen it so many times on my treks. I've seen people just, somebody's sick and nobody else cares. And he's like, with you guys, you have literally like shown me that Western people can be like Sherpas, like they can take care of each other and they can like share resources and look out for each other. And he's like, I haven't really seen this in 12 years. And for me, like creating that group and being a part of that group is like, that's a highlight. I mean, that's a highlight of my life, of hearing him say that and being part of it and just like creating travel like this space where like people do take care of each other out on the trails because that's what we do. So
that's like the ultimate compliment I think they could give you, especially, I mean, I love that you took that to heart because that shows, I mean, that's almost just like proof that like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, we were all very, very touched by that. Everybody who was there. Enzo actually wasn't there for that conversation because, he got really sick.
Yeah, that goes.
I was going to ask you how you did with the altitude, Enzo.
No, it wasn't the altitude. I got food poisoning. Yeah, I got from a freaking veggie burger, dude. A veggie burger got me sick. Now, I didn't eat meat the entire time, and a veggie burger got me like violently ill. Like I couldn't hold anything in for 4 days. I couldn't eat for 4 days. And then like the altitude sickness started to creep in because I was so dehydrated because I got sick at 14,000 feet. And luckily the town that I got sick in was the only town, well, not the only town, but one of the few towns that had a hospital. And so I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and there was 3 of us that got sick out of 7, and we all had veggie burgers. And there's 3 of us that got sick. I got the worst of it, but it was the most sick I've ever been in my entire life. It was.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's like a terrible place to be sick.
Yeah, because it's like you're just in a cold room all night. There's no heat. You have to like, get filtered water, so you can't really, you have to go to a bathroom this bathroom was like leaking from the ceiling. And it was just like, I had to go to the leaky, dirty bathroom 10 times a night. And I was just like, it was just bad. So one of my highlights was that everyone did take care of it. Like my highlight was that everyone was there, like what Passan was talking about. Because if it wasn't for Melanie and everybody else there, I wouldn't have been okay. Like I would have had a helicopter back down from there, and we ended up having to stay there a couple of days because of everyone being sick. And on the way down, like I couldn't continue. Like I had to go back down. And I felt some shame because I couldn't go to the Everest base camp. And on the way down, like 10 minutes into my hike, after being severely ill, I was like, man, I probably could have gone up. Like I probably could have like made it up. And then 30 minutes into that hike, I'm like, I need to sit down. I can't go any longer. I had a 1.5 hour hike turn into like almost a 3.5 hour hike just because of how sick I was. So I did end up making up the right call, but I did feel some, just bad that I wasn't able to make it. It kind of goes with that terrain. Like you can have this vision of making it to Everest Base Camp and do everything right, but like if the mountain doesn't want you to go, you're not going to go. You have to just respect the mountain and listen to your body and make sure that you're safe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what it had to take for me to get down there safe. But I had a different experience, and it was still a very good experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard some, like top athletes that can't do the altitude. And like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with you, what you can go through, but like you have to listen to Mother Nature, right? To the mountain. 'Cause sometimes you just physically can't.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you listened to your body and got back safe.
Advice to avoid anybody else getting food poisoning. Obviously you can, once you start getting higher up, don't have the meat because the meat is raw when it's coming up on a porter's back. It has a high probability of getting bacteria. So try to avoid eating meat. We did. The other thing was pastries. You don't want to eat pastries on this trek because not many people eat the pastries. So these bakeries will make pastries and they sit out for a long time that are in tea houses that are getting warmed up by burning yak manure. And so a lot of that particle might be falling onto the food that's sitting out. So it's likely to because you're above the tree line, right? So there's no trees to burn to keep you warm. So they have to dry out and burn yak manure to stay warm. That's just what everybody does. So you have to eat food that is either well packaged or are made that day in order for you to avoid as much as possible to get food poisoning.
And don't things that are weird on the menu like a veggie burger. Like just
just
order
ramen.
The regular foods that they eat in Nepal, dal bhat, ramen.
Yeah.
Ramen is safe. We have the ramen a lot. Any kind of potato dishes, they grow all the potatoes there in that region.
As bland as possible.
Avoid anything that is like, oh, I'm surprised they have that. Don't eat that.
Yeah, if you're surprised they have it, don't eat it.
Right. Like I remember ordering a pizza once there and I ate one bite and I was like, I just felt it. And I was, nope, okay, I know I wasted one whole American dollar on this, but this isn't, I'm not going to eat the rest of this. I felt it.
People get sick off the yak cheese. Everybody wants to have yak cheese pizza, and it's like a lot of people get sick off that. Yeah. So just eat what the guides are eating. Dal bhat and ramen. That's it.
Okay, so this actually, Enzo, this transitions me very well into my next question for you guys, because I'm very aware that no trips are perfect, and the, what word do I want to describe myself? The dreamer in me knows that the imperfections can usually make for a good story. But overall, besides you getting food poisoning, did you guys have any major issues during this 9-week trip? And if you did, like, how did you handle them?
Well, you heard about Nepal and the food sickness and everyone getting sick, and we all handled it very well by coming together and supporting each other and helping everyone out. I mean, besides that, the only other hiccup was Vietnam.
Yeah.
And Vietnam.
So for Vietnam, you need a visa.
Also,
right.
It's going to seem like most of the hiccups were on me.
There's a theme here.
It's going to seem like
going to seem like it, but it's not. It's not the case. It's veggie burgers and technology are against me.
Okay, so you need a visa to get into Vietnam. You have to apply for the visa in advance. You do it online. It's a little bit confusing, but I think it was like $40 or $50, and you apply and you either get accepted or denied, and you have to like kind of check back in to like see if you got accepted. So we all apply for our Vietnam visas in February. Our trip is in March. And we're in South Korea, and we're at the bus stop waiting to get the bus to the airport to go to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And I asked everybody, Enzo and Lily, I'm like, hey, let's all pull out our Vietnam visas. And so I pulled up mine and Lily pulled up hers. And then Enzo checks his email and he's like, oh, mine got denied. And I didn't see the denial email because it sent fast. It was like immediately denied because of his he has two last names, and so sometimes it gets confusing, and if you enter the information a certain way, they're just like, nope. So he got denied, and so we're like, okay, well, none of us panicked. We still get on the bus, we're going to the airport, we're like, how can we get you into Vietnam? And luckily, since we had worked with this tour company to plan our whole trip, I had this contact on WhatsApp. So I message her name's Tracy, and I'm like, Tracy, Enzo doesn't have his Vietnam visa. What can we do? And this was on a Sunday. So she was like, oh my God, okay, nothing, because it's Sunday. And so we're like, well, let's just go to the airport and see what happens if he tries to check in. Tracy's working in the background to try to like expedite a visa. And so we get to the airport and we're all checking in, and at the counter, they're like, let me see your visa. So that's where we're like, okay, Enzo's not coming to Vietnam. And luckily Tracy's messaging and she's like, I can get him a visa tomorrow. Just go to Enzo, rebook your flight, go to the airport tomorrow. I will make sure everything is set for you. So that was like so valuable to have that person who has a contact with whoever works in the visa area. He had to rebook a flight for the next day. He spent one night by himself in Busan, Korea. Mm-hmm. And so that was a hiccup, but it actually ended up being a really cool story for him because he had a cool experience in Korea.
Yeah, I had to stay in Korea, and I was just like killing time walking around, and I saw this like 100 people in a circle, and I'm like, what's going on here? And there was this humongous Honda motorcycle laying on its side, and there was this YouTuber that was giving anyone opportunity to just stand the motorcycle up. And if you stood it up, you got the equivalent of like $100, $100 US. I was just sitting there watching everyone try it. No one could do it. No, like he gave women the opportunity to raise it with two arms, and men, they had to raise it with one arm. I just watched for like 30 minutes, watching everyone try to see techniques and all that. And then I'm like, I'm just going to see if I can recuperate some of this money back. And I did. I was able to stand it up. The guy gave me $100, and yeah, that
No
was
way.
a crazy experience. And it,
So random.
yeah, it was so random. And I was the only one that was able to do it in like the 45 minutes that I was there watching it. And I was just like, I hope I didn't break my back for $100, because I've never seen a mirror motorcycle. And it's like, you didn't have to lift it, you just had to stand it up. And it was, yeah. So that was a fun little story that my little adventure.
Wow. So you got 100. That's pretty sweet. I love that.
It was a little mishap, but it turned into a great story.
But overall, like I had to spend $300 with the new flight and the hotel. So it was just like I was down 200 and like lower back pain. But other than that, it was good. It was a good story.
One of the things I just took away from what y'all just said was that your tour company has some connections. So it's pretty cool to think about if you're not super comfortable as a person with traveling just because you haven't done it a lot, or you're just one of those people who likes to be with a group. I just want to point out there are so many perks of traveling with a company like yours, like Travel Light. So one of the things that I do is I watch y'all's YouTube channel because it's creative, but it's super informative. I love the length, how it's just short and sweet, and I can just like, oh, okay, cool. You just kind of list it out. And I also saw that y'all have like 5,000 subscribers, which is awesome. So this YouTube channel, is it a passion project? Like, what's the why? Is it to help people that want to travel by themselves, or is it to kind of promote yourself? Like, hey, we have this travel company. You can learn all this if you travel with us. Like, what was your why behind it?
Our why was a little bit of both, I think. So our group trips take a lot of time. And it takes a lot of time to plan it. It takes a lot of time to go on these trips. And while we're on these trips, our main source of income used to be real estate. And now it's not, because of how much we're traveling. And we way rather travel than do real estate. So we're like, okay, well, how do we maximize what we're doing here? Because we are traveling, and the information that Melanie has is so valuable that it can't just stay in her head, So we're like, how do we share it with people, and how do we help promote our business and also help people plan their own trips? And we just thought, why not start a YouTube channel? And it's gotten a lot of really good success very early on. We have close to 5,000 followers, and we just started in January.
Nice.
And for the past month and a half, we haven't uploaded a video because we've been traveling so much. So we have so much to put out. And overall, it's a little bit of both. I think I've always been very interested in YouTube and just being able to be a quote unquote digital nomad. And if we could combine the flexibility and the income that YouTube can provide with the passion of us traveling, that just is a dream come true, right? So that's really what it comes down to, is just combining our business and just putting it on a platform that we can share it with more people, because if we share our passion 7 to 15 people at a time on our group trips, and I think more people need to see what we're doing, because it is pretty special.
For our listeners that would love to go on a trip with Travel Light Adventures, and check you out and see if maybe that's for them, like, what is your target audience? Who are the people that, your group that you kind of are trying to reach, and how do they find you?
So our target audience ranges from people in their late 20s to
early 20s.
Sometimes early 20s, I would say, to people in their 60s. And they're people from a wide variety of backgrounds. So I really like our groups because they're so diverse, but everybody kind of shares the same values of travel and adventure. And everybody is like down for the things that we're doing, which it's not like going in, hanging out at the beach or doing things that are always comfortable. So everybody kind of shares and values going on wild adventures together. I would say the most important thing for people to know when they're coming on our trips is that they should love being active. We don't fill every hour of the day with activities, but we do a lot of physical activity. It's a lot of hiking trips. So
it's travel light adventures, not travel light vacations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay.
So if you love hiking, if you love being in nature, if you want to connect with people who share those same values and who want to like really connect with other people, like people get very close on our trips, then I would say that Travel Light is for you. And people can find us on our website, travellightadventures.com. And then on YouTube now, we just changed our name. So our YouTube name is Travel Light Mel. Okay. And that's the same Instagram handle as well. So that is the best way for people to come and find us.
I love this for you guys, and I love talking to people like you, because then, my mind starts going. When we get off this call, I'll probably be like, let me think about my next trip. Like it is inspiring. So thank you guys for coming on here with me and talking to me. I love hearing all of this. It's just, it's so perfect. I did want to ask, do you mind if I ask you guys just a couple quick, thoughtless travel questions? Do you care?
Sounds fun.
Okay, good. Okay, so here's my first one. And this is so random, but I thought about y'all when I was thinking about this the other day. Dream killers. That is what the term that my partner and I use for the flight. They're about to close the doors on the airplane, and a couple more people come in, and you think everybody's done, but a couple more people come in, and there's a seat in the middle, and you feel like you're like, okay, I'm going to have space to like put my knees out and just to move around a little bit. And then these dream killers walk in, and you're like looking at their eyes. Are they looking for my number? And like you're trying to like follow their eyes to see like where they're looking in the airplane. You're like, please don't let it be, please don't let it be next to me. And then it's next to you. And I'm just, I really feel like they crushed my dream. So I'm like, I say all that to say, A, do you feel similar? And B, do either one of you guys have like an inside joke with each other? Like something silly that you kind of name annoying stuff that involves travel?
We definitely feel similar. I know the exact, I could feel everything you described. Looking at them, being like, oh my gosh, I hope they're not 15C. I really wanted to have this seat open. And that is so funny that you have a name for that.
Yeah, we actually do this thing now that when we travel together, we purchase the window and the aisle and leave the middle open. Mm-hmm. So then, just in case,
we hope that no one books
the middle seat. And if they do, we're like, hey, do you want a window or an aisle? And then we'll still sit next to each other. But like it increases the chances of somebody not, because if you get window and middle, then aisle.
Ooh, you just divulged a really good travel secret. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it has worked.
But what is the things that we say? What are you thinking?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, like an inside joke.
Not anything that I would like to share with anyone.
Yeah. What about how about this? Is there something that really bothers you about other travelers that aren't you, that you're just like, why are they doing that?
I think a pet peeve of when people talk to other people from different countries, like they are, I don't want to say dumber or less than, but they're talking to them in a sense of just can you help us? We're looking for this. And it's just, dude, they're not dumb. It's just a language barrier. You don't have to speak louder. You don't have to speak more intense. Just use context clues to get your point across. When you talk to people in a manner that's just that makes me feel uncomfortable, I don't want to be around you anymore.
Right.
That's my biggest pet peeve, especially when I travel. These are the nicest people ever.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give us a bad rep. We already have a bad rep. Like,
Yeah, but I feel you on that 100%. What about you, Melanie? Do you have any pet peeves?
Mine is more related to hiking. So, one of my pet peeves, like on the trail, would be if people who are in a group like stop in the middle of the trail, like to take a break,
just fall off,
or just like stop and take a picture when there's a lot of other people around, and then it's kind of like, excuse me, and you have to go around them. So I think spatial awareness is a big one, and I try to tell everyone in our groups, like, hey, if people want to pass us, then we always make sure that people can get past our group, because I think it is kind of annoying when there's like a group of people who's in the way, and we always try
and it's not, it's like just like
that.
Like drinking water or just like taking a break. If you're taking a picture, sure, like, take a quick picture and keep going. Like everyone does it. But like if you're just like blocking the trail just to take a break and not aware of like you blocking the trail, it's like,
yeah,
bury yourself. Like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. These things need to be said aloud. Do you guys have a pet peeve at all with people who play music without headphones on the trail?
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm ever playing music, like if it's a really hard day, sometimes I'll be like, I got to listen to some music. Otherwise I'm not going to make it. I always make sure that I lower it or turn it off if anyone's coming close to me or passing me, or use my headphones if it's just for me. But in Nepal, it's actually really different because the porters
blasting music.
They're playing music. And they're playing a lot of local music, so you hear like the same song, like Nepali folk songs. And so there is like a lot of music, but the Everest region in general is just very lively. You're not like in the middle of the wilderness. It's like there's a lot of people around and a lot of locals. And so, yeah, that one's a little different. But
that one's different.
You need to be respectful. I mean, people are out in nature for nature. They're not out there to hear your playlist.
Yeah. Just etiquette.
Yes. Okay. So this one, it's silly, but I have secretly thought this in my head before, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me ask some other travelers if they've ever felt this. Do you feel, because you've seen a lot of the world and you've done a lot of traveling and you've kind of learned how to navigate the world outside the world you were born into, do you ever secretly feel like you're better than other people?
Oh, wow. What do we say? This is recorded.
No, here's what I think. I think we have gotten a different perspective than most people. And for us to think that we are better than them denies the different perspective that we have gotten. Right. So it's kind of like a catch-22. We can't think we're better than them because of the different perspective that we are getting from these world travels. So yes, we are better than them, but we don't think it because we have a different perspective.
Because we know it.
We don't think that. We don't think that of other people because of our perspective. But
perspective is so great that we don't think that, but it's true. It's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, great answer. That's a great answer. Okay, my last one, third and final one. But I notice whenever I am traveling that I'm like, oh, do you smell that? Or, oh, do you see that tree? I wonder what kind of tree that is. Or, oh, what kind of flower is this? And I like, everywhere I go, I want to know everything. I want to know what that temple's called. And I'm just so intrigued, and I just feel like my imagination is open. And then sometimes I'll catch myself at home. Like I was doing yard work earlier today, and I was like, I didn't even know that plant was there. I didn't even realize I had that plant. Or, I'll walk to the store because I have a Trader Joe's up the road. And it's funny. Sometimes I'll be like, I didn't even know that we had a framing store in this neighborhood. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm so checked out in my little corner of where I live. And I think I say that to ask you, do you ever feel the same? Like, do you ever feel more interested when you're traveling and less interested whenever you're at home?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You notice more things when you're in a different environment. You're looking around more. Everything is new, so it's just like,
You're more
whoa,
aware.
What is that? What is that? And I notice it too with people. Like when I'm in other countries, I'm so interested in the people there. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that person does or where this person is from and what's their story. Whereas at home, I'm more of just like, you're all from St. Louis. Like I already know what's going on around here, but that's not true. Everybody has a story to tell.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely notice that I'm way more interested in everything when I travel.
And it bled over, really. And I told her this when we got back. We were traveling to so many different places and we were just staying in hotel rooms and hostels and just beds, really. And we got back to our house. And the first thought that I had was, wow, our house is huge. And I've never thought of that. I've never thought of our house being a big house. It's a normal size house, but like I look at the rooms, I'm like, wow, I've never thought how big our house is. And it just came over from the environmental and social awareness that we've been having from traveling so much and being in so many different places. I mean, us being just aware of everything that it kind of like bled over to here. And I try to remind myself to have that perspective of when we come back, because you see the world differently and then you start thinking differently and then you see different opportunities and it's just such a nice, refreshing viewpoint that you kind of don't see because you're stuck in your day to day. So that's why people travel. That's why everyone needs to travel, because you get different perspectives and you get to see the world and then you see your life differently. And I don't know. Every time I come back from a different country, I'm like, I know I grew as a person and it's amazing.
That's awesome. I love that. You guys are amazing. Your travels are amazing. Everybody needs to go check out Travel Light Adventures. Check out your YouTube channel. Check out all your socials. And I really hope more and more people just start going on your trips. So, I mean, I don't know if you ever want to make this a 12-month thing instead of a 6-month out of the year thing, but I hope it grows to the point where you want it to, because you guys are really amazing and I'm happy for y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. We still, I mean, we want to make it a 12-month thing, but it's just kind of like one trip at a time, because all of our trips have sold out this year except 2. And
wow.
It's kind of like, it's crazy how we still need to have a better vision of what we want this to be. But right now it's like, it's really good.
Good. That's awesome. And you two are selling it. You know, you'll have a great relationship with each other. And I can tell that you put a lot of time and energy into these trips. So yeah, everybody check them out. I promise you, I'm going to be on one of your trips soon. Life is life, whatever. I'm not making any excuses, but it's going to be a priority of mine. And in either 2026 or 2027, it will be a priority of mine. And I'm going to come on a trip. I'm excited.
Love it. Well, let's go to podcast on the trip.
And if anybody is interested on the current trips that we have this year, we have 2 trips that have not been sold out. Do you want to tell them
we have a couple spots left for our Sedona Women's Retreat. That is July 16th through the 20th of 2025. And then we have it's another all women's one to Morocco in November. And it's November 9th through the 20th. 2 opportunities to join us. We have 4 spots left on each trip for 2025.
Just to promote, well, both of those places are amazing, but to promote Morocco, are you guys going to make it to the Sahara at all?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to stay. We'll stay overnight. We're going to ride camels in the desert. We're going to do the sandboarding and the dune buggy riding. And then we'll sleep. We'll do glamping in the Sahara Desert.
people were crazy if they don't tack onto that trip, because that is an incredible experience alone. I mean, just looking at the Sahara. I would go to the Sahara just to look at it, not even get on a camel, because let's be honest, camels, you do it for the story, okay? Yeah. They're not fun. They're not comfortable, but you get on a camel, it's cool. You're like, oh, I'm on a camel, let me get some pictures. But then like 2 days later, you're like, I don't need to be on a camel ever again. But I'm really excited. That's such a great trip. So I hope both of them fill up. But I just want to give my shout out to Morocco. So yeah. But you guys are awesome. I'll talk to you guys soon. And thank you for taking all this time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much, Starla, for having us.
Thank you.
For a third time for me. And the last. I'll be back. Enzo will be back.
Yeah.
So
we'll talk again. Same time next year.
Yeah. Same time next year. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Attention passengers. We've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.